later. Tell me, I would like to welcome the arrival of our Dean of the Faculty of Medicine, University Malaya, Professor Datuk Dr. Yang Farida Abdul Aziz, accompanied by the Honorable Professor Dr. Sajaratulnisah Othman, Professor of Primary Care Medicine of the Faculty of Medicine, University Malaya. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to invite everyone to remain standing as we begin this event with the national anthem Negaraku, followed by our University Malaya song.
bersih Malaya, kebanggaan kita semua, bertambah para ilmuwan di berbagai lapangan. Kami bertekad di hati mencapai cita murni, tradisi kecemerlangan menepati wawasan. Di sini kami sedia berbakti, terus berinovasi. Kami harapkan generasi muda terus nusa dan bangsa. Varsity kesayanganku, sungguh banyak jasamu membentuk insan mulia, berilmu berbudaya. Di sini kami sedia berbakti, terus berinovasi. Kami harapkan generasi muda teras nusa dan bangsa. Varsity kesayanganku, sungguh banyak jasamu membentuk insan mulia, berilmu berbudaya.
Please be seated, everyone. Terbang helang mencari makan, melayang seiring di tepi kali. Selamat datang kami ucapkan, moga diiring restu ilahi. Salam sejahtera diucapkan kepada semua hadirin yang dihormati sekalian. Selamat datang ke Syarahan Perdana Profesor Dr. Sajaratulnisah Othman pada hari yang bahagia ini. Izinkan saya untuk bertutur dalam bahasa Inggeris untuk sama-sama menghormati dan meraihkan para hadirin dari luar negara. I would like to start by inviting Dr. Megat Muhammad Amirul Amza to lead in the doa recital.
Assalamualaikum and good afternoon. Please allow me to recite the dua in Malay. Al-Fatihah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Allahumma ij'al jam'ana hadha jam'an marhuma wa tafarruqna min ba'dihi tafarruqan ma'suma wa la taj'al fina wa la minna syaqiyyan wa la mahruma. Ya Allah, Tuhan Maha Pengasih lagi Maha Penyayang, kami panjatkan kesyukuran ke atas limpah kurnia dan rahmat-Mu dapat kami berkumpul pada hari ini untuk meraihkan kejayaan sahabat kami. Sesungguhnya taufik dan inayah-Mu hanyalah milik-Mu dan rahmat dan redha-Mu adalah segalanya yang kami cari. Ya Allah, Tuhan yang membolak-balik hati manusia, teguhkanlah hati kami atas landasan kebenaran. Jadikanlah kami manusia yang terus memberi manfaat. Satukanlah hati-hati kami dengan kasih sayang, supaya segala apa yang kami kerjakan dapat membawa organisasi kami, khususnya Fakulti Perubatan, PPUM dan Universiti Malaya ke arah kecemerlangan yang berpanjangan. Ya Allah, Tuhan pemilik sekalian alam, Kau jadikanlah kejayaan sahabat kami ini satu permulaan kepada kecemerlangan yang lebih besar. Kau jadikanlah kejayaan sahabat kami ini inspirasi kepada kami semua. Yang lebih utama, Ya Allah, Kau jadikanlah kebaikan atas usaha yang beliau lakukan sebagai asbab untuk redha-Mu dan kebahagiaan yang kekal di akhirat kelak. Ya Allah, Tuhan yang maha menganugerahkan, sesungguhnya kejayaan yang dikecapi tak akan hadir tanpa izin-Mu dan telah Kau hadirkan pertolongan bagi hamba-hamba-Mu yang Kau pilih. Ya Allah, anugerahkanlah kebaikan, kesejahteraan dan pahala yang berpanjangan buat ibu bapa kami, guru-guru kami, ahli keluarga kami, serta insan-insan yang telah membantu kami dalam menempa kejayaan ini. Ya muqallibal qulub, Allah Tuhan yang maha memperkenankan permintaan, Kau kabulkanlah permintaan kami, berikanlah kebaikan kepada kami, jauhkanlah kami dari sifat buruk, hasad dengki, iri hati dan kemalasan. Agar kami sentiasa memacu kebaikan di dunia ini, perkenankanlah permintaan kami. Rabbana atina fid dunya hasanah وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار وأدخلنا الجنة مع الأبرار يا عزيز يا غفار يا رب العالمين وصلى الله على محمد وعلى آل محمد والحمد لله رب العالمين.
Thank you very much, Dr. Amirul. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to extend our warmest welcome to the Dean of the Faculty of Medicine, University Malaya, Professor Datuk Dr. Yang Farida Abdul Aziz, the Honorable Professor Dr. Sajaratulnisah Othman, Professor of Primary Care Medicine from the Faculty of Medicine, University Malaya, Professor Datuk Dr. Ikram Shah bin Ismail, Vice Chancellor of Masa University and former Dean of the Faculty of Medicine, University Malaya, the Honorable Professor Dr. Nazira Hasnan, Director of the University Malaya Medical Centre, Dato' Azlam Shah alias, Member of the Board of Trustees at PPUM Care and Chairman of the Mr. DIY Group, Members of Management of University Malaya, the Faculty of Medicine and University Malaya Medical Centre, distinguished guests, professors, doctors, ladies and gentlemen who are joining us virtually and physically today to this very special event hosted by the Faculty of Medicine, University Malaya. I'm Dr. Christine Shamla Selvaraj, and I'm honored to be the Master of Ceremonies for the inaugural lecture of my inspiring lecturer, colleague, and friend, Professor Dr. Sajaratulnisah Othman. A professor's inaugural lecture is one of University Malaya's most cherished and revered traditions. This lecture honors the professional journeys taken by our professors and provides an opportunity for them to share their wisdom, inspirations, and philosophies with us. We are grateful to be here today as an audience for the inaugural lecture by Professor Dr. Sajaratulnisah Othman, or Prof. Saja as she is widely known, a dedicated and passionate senior consultant of primary care medicine who's had a long and illustrious career with University Malaya. Today, Prof. Saja will be sharing her journey in the field with us in her lecture entitled From Awareness to Action, Enhancing the Role of Healthcare Providers in Addressing Family Violence. Without further ado, I would like to invite the Dean of the Faculty of Medicine, Professor Datuk Dr. Yang Farida Abdul Aziz, to chair the lecture and subsequently introduce Professor Dr. Sajaratulnisah Othman. Please welcome Prof. Yang.
Thank you very much. The Honourable Professor Dr. Sajaratulnisah Othman, Professor of Family Medicine, Department of Primary Care Medicine, Faculty of Medicine, University Malaya. Yang berbahagia Professor Datuk Dr. Ikram Shah bin Ismail, Vice Chancellor of Masa University, as well as previous Dean of the Faculty of Medicine, University Malaya. Yang berusaha Professor Dr. Nazira Hasnan, Director, University Malaya Medical Centre. Yang berbahagia Dato' Azlan Shah alias Member Board of Trustees of PPUM Care, University Malaya. Management of University Malaya, Management of Faculty of Medicine, Management of University Malaya Medical Centre. Ladies and gentlemen, to my fellow colleagues, distinguished guests, professors, doctors, students, and all of you who have joined us in person as well as online, welcome to the Faculty of Medicine inaugural lecture by one of our eminent colleague and friend, a very much loved Professor Dr. Sajaratulnisah Othman, a family medicine physician and advocate of family violence intervention, health behavior, and well-being. Now, you might be thinking that when you meet Saja, I call her Saja because, she's my junior. age and hierarchy counts in medicine very much still. We're trying to reduce that, but it still counts, Saja. Okay. If you see Saja in the corridor, you might be beguiled by the smile she always has on her face. You might think that this is a professor in University Malaya that, works well, but it is always smiling and is always very open. Now, I'm not telling you that she is not, but what I'm telling you is there is always another part of her. And this is the part that I love about doing this. When I get to introduce this friend of mine who might be smiling, very beguiling, very open, but she is an advocate of something that is always in the shadows, and that's violence, and family violence at that too. And I personally feel that this is the part of her. If you look at her, you would not think that this is her niche area, and yet there she is, an advocate of it. And isn't that a wonderful ambassador to have for this very, very difficult subject? Okay. As an educator, Prof. Saja teaches primary care medicine, family violence, communication, and self-care to medical students, postgrad students, and organizations, in between being previous head of Department of Primary Care Medicine. I remember the first time that I truly got to know Saja was when she was the coordinator of one of the community program for the then curriculum. Both Saja and I are old enough to have gone through facets of the MBBS curriculum. We went through the traditional curriculum, and then we had the new NIC curriculum helmed ably by Dato' Ikram at that time. Do you remember, Prof? We had the NIC, and I think Saja and I were very much involved with the NIC at that time. And then it shifted to UMMP, and again, Saja and I were part of UMMP. So we've been here long enough to have seen changes of facets in the curriculum. So yes, Saja is an ultimate educator in that. As a researcher, she was the principal investigator for one of the 5 Prevent Elder Abuse initiative called PEACE, which is a sub-program under the University of Malaya Grand Challenge program. And this is, again, an important aspect. So if you notice, she tackles the difficult issues. And that's what I think is very important in the core of Saja. This is what she does. She is the principal investigator for the University of Malaya Impact-Oriented Interdisciplinary Research Grant Program, initiating discussion on building a safe space for Malaysian women in healthcare. UNICEF has also appointed her to head a group of experts to explore and report on children's rights in Sabah. The World Health Organization in 2021 commissioned her to provide a desk review in addressing the one-stop crisis center services in Malaysia and to come up with country-specific evaluation protocol. So obviously, she's an active advocate against family violence. She chairs the Violence Intervention Committee of the University of Malaya Medical Center and co-chairs the World Organization of Family Doctors, also called WONCA, Special Interest Group in Family Violence. She's also part of the expert panel in Clinical Intervention Program for Domestic Violence and Elder Abuse in Malaysia. Now, personally, she is born in Baling, Kedah, but she spent most of her childhood in Kuala Lumpur. She is an alumnus of several schools, including Bukit Bintang Girls' School. I'm an alumnus too. So she's my junior for a very long time already, obviously. So Saja Nisi Dominus Frustra. You all don't know that. Only BBGS girls will know what that means, and we're not telling you. As well as Sekolah Menengah Sains Teluk Intan Perak. She is another thoroughbred of University of Malaya, obtaining her MBBS degree at University of Malaya, as well as her clinical masters in family medicine, also at University of Malaya. She subsequently completed her PhD at Monash University in Melbourne, hence why she's wearing the Monash University colours. I'm wearing University of Malaya colours. I am as excited as you all are, must be, to listen to Professor Sajaratulnisah Othman, present her inaugural lecture titled From Awareness to Action, Enhancing the Role of Healthcare Provider in Addressing Family Violence. I'm sure you will do well. Prof. Saja, off you go. Thank you.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum and a very good afternoon. Yang berbahagia, Profesor Datuk Dr. Yang Farida Abdul Aziz, Dean of Faculty of Medicine, Universiti Malaya. Yang berbahagia, Profesor Datuk Dr. Ikram Shah, Vice Chancellor of Masa University, who was also Dean of Faculty of Medicine from 2006 to 2012. Sorry, I've got to mention it. Yang berusaha, Profesor Dr. Nazira Hasnan, Director of Universiti Malaya Medical Center. Yang berbahagia Datuk Azlam Shah alias, who is Member Board of Trustee of PPUM Cares, who is also RUCA Researchers. All Deputy Deans and Deputy Directors, my Head of Department of Primary Care Medicine, Associate Prof. Dr. Nur Kamila Ramzan. Where is she? Yeah. All other Head of Departments and units, esteemed colleagues, students, and distinguished and honored guests, ladies and gentlemen. It is an honor to have all of you here, physically and virtually. I am blessed to be surrounded by my family members, my husband, my mom, my 2 girls, my sister, and another 2 brothers who is not here today. And also, family members at work, my fellow colleagues, staff, NGO friends, and students. Do you know that individuals affected by family violence frequently attend healthcare facilities? Unfortunately, their cries for help often go unnoticed. The eye on the cover of the book that you're holding symbolizes the vigilance we must all adopt, and it's a reminder that we, as a society, must open our eyes to the silent struggles of these individuals. This yellow circle represents the care and protection individuals affected by violence desperately need, but often denied. So today, we'll dive into the crucial role of healthcare providers, and indeed all of us, in breaking the cycle of silence and providing the support these individuals need to overcome their suffering and to heal. So I've witnessed firsthand the devastating effect of family violence on my patients and their loved ones. I've learned over the years the intricate and varied family violence can be. So I am deeply grateful to my mentors, colleagues, and numerous advocates, and also survivors who have shared their stories and insights. Your contributions have been invaluable in shaping my approach and undertaking. So the lecture today will be divided into 3 parts. I try to compress everything so that we have more time to mingle after this, but trying to package it as simple as possible so that you can understand the complexity of family violence. So the first part is about my journey to get where I am now. The second part will explore family violence in more detail. And the part 3 will cover many other areas beyond the topic of family violence in which I'm involved with. It becomes a testimony to how versatile a primary care physician can be as we uphold the principle of serving the community from womb to tomb and being comprehensive in our approach. To the survivors of domestic and family violence among us, we acknowledge your courage and resilience. I was born in the small town of Baling, Kedah. For older generations, Baling is famous for the talk between Chin Peng, the Communist Party, and the government, then the Federation of Malaya. Now, Baling is famous for its beauty, the hills, the paddy field, kind and friendly people, and most importantly, nice food, and it's very cheap. My late father, Haji Othman Isa, better known as Cikgu Man, was a teacher for the blind, and my mother, Hajah Saudah Ahmad, is a housewife and still takes care of me now. Until today, she still makes me 2 half-boiled eggs, including this morning. So thank you. Terima kasih, Mak. My early schooling was at St. Nicholas Convent Girls' School, and then in Alosa, and then Bukit Bintang Girls' School in Kuala Lumpur. I then went to a boarding school, Sekolah Menengah Sains Teluk Intan in Perak, for my Form 4 and Form 5. So the first time I set foot in Universiti Malaya was in 1988 for Asasi, the foundation studies. And it seems so long ago, before the millennium. Then I started my medical training in 1990 at the Faculty of Medicine, Universiti Malaya, and graduated in 1995. So you must be wondering some of the familiar faces there. To me, it was a challenging course, especially in the initial part, but having good friends and good teachers helped. Back then, there was neither internet nor smartphone. And our lecturers used the blackboard and notes written on transparencies. Imagine learning embryology and fetal development without animation. It really demanded such an imagination among us and lecturers who can draw nicely on the blackboard. So I am blessed to get good lecturers then, and I hope I'm a good lecturer now. So out-of-hospital exposure, I really enjoy out-of-hospital training. One of them was the rural health posting. It really, thank you, social preventive medicine. It put us in touch with the real world in our community. And you will see there's Prof. Aisha at the background. Sorry, I've got to blanco her because she wasn't wearing tudung at that time. And then we studied hard, but we also had fun in between. One memorable activity was organizing health advocacy campaigns in local communities. So these experiences help us to develop our ability to communicate effectively with diverse population. So look at the photos. See if you can recognize any of the faces in the photo who is lurking in the faculty. And here with Ashraf Imran Dini and the late Maznisa, we were in Egypt for our electives. Well, I do not remember much about our visits to the few medical schools there, but I definitely remember all the adventures. We learned to keep each other safe and informed. So mind you, there was no smartphone, no apps such as Google Translate or Google Map during those days, but we safely explored Egypt from Giza to Alexandria. It was also the first time I learned how to get a travel grant from an external industry to support our travel. And it was during my medical training when I met my beloved husband. He was then doing dentistry. My special thanks goes to you, Yang. Sorry, Prof. Yang, you asked me to call you Yang. I was like, oh, that's too young now. He has supported me through the ups and downs since then. He is also the person who can really push me to go to the top of the world. Hence the evidence of this photo. I'm blessed with two girls, Nadia and Anis, my pride and joy. I am grateful for their unconditional love and also tolerance in dealing with the constantly busy mother. So my junior doctor training was at Hospital Kuala Lumpur. Then I was fortunate enough to be offered as a trainee lecturer at the Faculty of Medicine, University Malaya. Not long after completing my postgraduate degree in primary care medicine, I was lucky to be offered to do my PhD at Monash University in Melbourne. I was lucky to be guided by two supervisors, Professor Leon Peterman, a professor of general practice at Monash University. He is one of the world's leading general practice educators. Professor Chris Goddard from social work, who has worked extensively in social services in the United Kingdom and child protection in Australia. And I was sharing the same office as Professor John Murtagh. For those in family medicine, we all use his textbooks and diagnostic approach one way or another. So Professor Murtagh, for your information, those who are not in family medicine, is one of the gurus in family medicine. Upon my return from my PhD, I took various leadership roles, including heading the Department of Primary Care Medicine and Department of Research, Development, Innovation at UMMC. So thank you, Prof. Ikram and Prof. Tunku Kamaro for trusting me with these responsibilities. Me and other like-minded colleagues have established the Violence Intervention Committee at the UMMC in 2013. It was to help coordinate services for patients affected by interpersonal violence and to ensure the delivery of the best practice management in UMMC. I co-chair the World Organization of Family Doctors, otherwise known as WONCA Special Interest Group in Family Violence, a platform to discuss the issue of family violence internationally. My advocacy extends to adolescent health, where I serve as the Vice President of the Malaysian Association of Adolescent Health. Now, let's dive to the heavy part. I hope to share my experience and insight and inspire you to take actionable steps in your own practice and community. It is a family matter between the husband and wife, so they both should deal with this, not others. I'm doing my part. So these words spoken by Sarah, not her real name, a survivor of family violence, highlight a pervasive yet dangerous misconception over the issue. Family violence is not merely a private matter. It is a serious crime demanding attention and action. Sarah's exposure to family violence left her with long-lasting negative impact on her and her children. Anyone can be a victim of interpersonal violence, regardless of age, gender, or educational background. The World Health Organization categorizes interpersonal violence as violence perpetrated by family members or other community members. Abuse may come in many forms: physical, psychological, sexual, or other control tactics. At the current time, abuse facilitated through the use of technology can complicate matters further. For example, a woman may experience emotional abuse from her spouse through constant monitoring of her using social media accounts or other means. This include using GPS tracker. I was involved with the Lancet Psychiatry Commission to explore intimate partner violence and mental health. Here are a few take-home points worth highlighting for all of you. 1. Intimate partner violence occurs across the lifespan. 2. Intimate partner violence during pregnancy can be a starting point for the intergenerational transmission of mental health problems and the tendency to have poorer general health. And epidemiologic studies found that both people who experience intimate partner violence and those who perpetrate intimate partner violence are more likely to have been born to women who were abused during and after pregnancy, as compared with people who do not have experience of any form of intimate partner violence. So what is domestic violence? So domestic violence, or otherwise known as intimate partner violence, involves any behavior within an intimate relationship that causes harm to another person in the relationship. Intimate partner violence is different from couple violence, couple arguments, or conflict. This is because intimate partner violence involves a pattern of abusive behaviors that one partner uses to dominate and control the other. It is a chronic situation, leaving the abused person to live in fear and in isolation. So how common is domestic violence in our community? It's actually difficult to know the true prevalence of violence against women accurately because of the underreporting. In Malaysia, 1 in 10 women, partnered women, has experienced some form of domestic violence. More alarming is that our study in public health clinic, the Klinik Kesihatan in Federal Territory, found that 1 out of 5 women attending primary care clinics reported experiencing domestic violence. Even more concerning is the high prevalence of domestic violence among antenatal mothers, as the prevalence can be as high as 35.9%. Family violence results in significant physical, psychological, social, and economic burdens. So indeed, individuals who experience this often have poorer health and quality of life, leading to higher health service utilization. And it is concerning that the impact of family violence extends far beyond those involved to affect their loved ones and the broader community. There is a strong evidence that children living in homes where domestic violence occurs are also negatively affected. So much so that in some countries, such as Australia and the United Kingdom, have recognized children living in homes where domestic violence is occurring as a form of child abuse. Failure to address family violence can perpetuate cycle of trauma and dysfunction. Now let's talk about the historical context of violence intervention in Malaysia. So domestic violence used to be hidden from public debate in Malaysia as it was initially perceived as a family problem. It was the women activists who first took effort to address gender oppression and violence against women in the 1980s. Through their hard work and after 11 years of lobbying, the Domestic Violence Act was passed in 1994 and implemented in 1996. So this act provides protection and legal recourse for those affected by domestic violence, and it marks a significant step towards addressing this issue in Malaysia. I am fortunate to have the opportunity to interact with some of the female activists. They are here somewhere. Where are you? Okay. and advocates who actually played a pivotal role in making the issues of domestic violence known in Malaysia. These interactions truly enriched my knowledge of interpersonal violence and deepened my understanding of the importance of gender equality. So, apart from the formal meetings, the most important one is the informal discussion at kopitiams. It is very invaluable for building connection and also fostering a sense of solidarity among us. Family violence intervention is not exclusive to a single agency. Various agencies, including health sector, are involved in handling domestic violence. Collaboration among these agencies is essential to support victims comprehensively and to hold perpetrators accountable for their action. As mentioned earlier, individuals experiencing family violence frequently attend healthcare facilities. So, each encounter between healthcare providers and patient is an opportunity for intervention. In terms of health system intervention for family violence, the first one-stop crisis center was initiated in 1994 at Hospital Kuala Lumpur following the enactment of Domestic Violence Act. By 1996, one-stop crisis centers were established in every state hospital, providing comprehensive services for survivors of rape and abuse. My desk review of the one-stop crisis center services for the World Health Organization in 2021 found that despite a good model to follow to support the victims, the one-stop crisis center services face numerous challenges. These include inconsistent service delivery, a lack of training and resources for healthcare providers, and limited interagency communication. What about, sorry, I've got to go back. Let me just see, sorry about this. I'm too fast. Okay, right. So what about primary care response? We know that primary care providers are often patients' first point of contact in the health system, and early identification can really reduce or prevent the negative impact on patient. However, the opportunity to intervene family violence in primary care was initially not acknowledged. The 2015 OSCC policy and guideline did not mention any involvement of primary care. But the good news is that the updated version that is being prepared now has included specific protocol for primary care physicians to identify and respond family violence. So, a bit about my PhD finding. My PhD study concluded that there is a conspiracy of silence when it comes to domestic violence intervention in the primary care setting in Malaysia. So several interlinked factors contributed to this conspiracy of silence. One of it is that victims do not seek help from their healthcare provider. One reason is the fear of retaliation from the perpetrator. And not forgetting is the cultural belief and societal norms that discourage victims from speaking up. Examples include the need to maintain the good name of their spouse and the desire to keep the family together regardless of their abuse experience. Another important contributor to this conspiracy of silence is the inappropriate response of healthcare providers towards the victims. Healthcare providers, being part of community, may also uphold the same cultural values. In addition, the lack of adequate training and time constraint may further worsen the situation. Asking abuse in clinical consultation is like opening a can of worms. what should be an average 10 minutes consultation can end up double or triple the usual consultation time. A recent study conducted by my PhD student, Chan Ying Ying, which I co-supervised with Prof. Noran from SPM, examined the readiness of our healthcare provider to intervene domestic violence. We found that only 20% of nationally represented primary healthcare providers received some form of training on domestic violence. And what is concerning is that out of 10 healthcare providers, only one have good level of knowledge about domestic violence intervention. So I call upon policymakers in Malaysia to prioritize the implementation of training program for healthcare providers on domestic violence and on family violence intervention. Healthcare providers are not exempted from being victims of domestic violence. Mastura, another PhD student I co-supervised with Professor Claire, also from SPM, and a few other supervisors explored this issue in detail. Our study found that as many as 1 in 5 healthcare providers experience some form of domestic violence. And these staff experience violence not only at home, but also at workplace as the perpetrator came to harass and threaten them at workplace. In addition, mental health was found to be a mediator in the relationship between experiencing domestic violence and work performance. So to close the gap, the medical social worker and I have been involved in training healthcare providers on domestic violence. It has already been more than 10 years that we provided training for the staff in PPUM. And another one is about the epidemiologic shift. By 2030, it is anticipated that 15% of our population will be senior citizens. And as the population of senior citizens increases, there will be a corresponding risk in the incident of abuse directed at older individuals. The Prevent Elder Abuse and Neglect, PEACE, was a project that aimed to equip the community to better manage the inevitable societal change as a result from an aging population. So the main goal of subprogram 3, which I headed, was to create and evaluate an educational intervention for primary care physicians and nurses. So along with other PEACE members, again, Prof. Claire, Prof. Noran, Prof. Fazila, to name a few, there are many more of us. And our Ministry of Health colleagues from Negeri Sembilan and Penang, we came up with educational intervention which was proven to improve their knowledge on elder abuse management. But knowledge alone is inadequate. This is because there is also a need for systemic change such as care pathway and interagency linkages to support healthcare provider to function effectively. So this is just to show that based on our research, we have come up with guidelines to support primary care doctors and nurses in handling older maltreatment. The IMOCAF, an implementation strategy for improving primary healthcare services for victims of sexual and domestic violence and relative. This involved discussion with other international counterparts to come up with potential solutions. I find that the exchange of ideas and best practices can really help healthcare professionals to better address domestic violence in our own communities, tailoring towards the capacity we have and also being sensitive to the local culture. Now we end the heavy part. Now we go to the slightly more lighter part. So part 3, beyond the violence work. There are many other areas in which I was and am involved with beyond violence work. I mind you, I'm not violent. It is quite typical being someone from primary care medicine to be involved in a diverse topic at one go. It will be impossible to share all, but I will share some of the activities here. The first one is SITAN, Situational Analysis of Children's Rights in Sabah. The UNICEF tasked me with researching children's rights in Sabah. Me and my team went to nearly all places in Sabah to directly understand the situation on the ground. So this is in one of the kampung. One area we covered was the interior division of Sabah. The villages near the border of Indonesia, and these villages are only reachable via dirt road and riverboat. And what do we learn from there? We learn that children as young as 7 years old stayed in dilapidated hostel away from their families to get education. The main reason is that the river transportation, the main mode of transportation, is expensive. In addition, a 45-minute boat journey can turn into a few days' journey pushing the boat during dry season. These are not the school children. Obviously, they are my team who are kind of like happy, being on the speedboat. But although it can be very daunting at that time. We also went to the island to understand the underserved population. One of it was the families living in the boat, the Bajau Laut. So due to the absence of documentation and language barriers, these children did not go to school, although their boats, or i.e. their homes, were anchored in front of the school. So we have the person here. In the picture, Dr. Kamal was sitting right in front. Our anthropology friend was getting a close look at the boathouse. So can you imagine having a family of 4 staying in a space barely 2 meters by 6 meters? That's where you sleep, that's where you cook, and that's where you do all sorts of other entertainment. Okay, this experience allows us to gain valuable insight into the challenges faced by vulnerable population and the importance of advocacy in protecting their rights. We all know that it is during our adolescent and young adult, most people begin looking for their significant others. It is during this period of time one is most vulnerable to abuse. So, in recognition of the fact that the prevention of family violence should commence early, at the early age, the Ministry of Education Knowledge Transfer Grant enabled me to dedicate my effort to raising awareness among young people and healthcare providers regarding healthy relationship and prevention of dating violence. Irene Jimenez, a brilliant PhD graduate of mine, whom I supervise in collaboration with Dr. Faranini, our current Children's Commissioner to the Human Rights, Suhakam, investigated the issue of providing consent to minors in medical consultation. Her research shed light on the complexity surrounding rights of underage individuals in healthcare decision-making. As we are talking now, there is an ongoing effort to improve the situation so that adolescents can achieve universal access to healthcare, even without the presence of an adult. To complete, I also do research on aging. I am looking at various aspects of aging, including those living in poverty. Research have shown that older adults living in poverty are more likely to experience loneliness and social isolation. This can be detrimental on their overall well-being. Our current study under the Unku Aziz Center for Development Studies on Poverty will be addressing the intersection of aging, poverty, loneliness, and health. We believe that our findings will be instrumental in creating comprehensive support system for vulnerable populations in society, offering hope for a better future. The most interesting one. In recent years, I have engaged in initiatives that promote the mental well-being of students and healthcare providers. We all agree that postgraduate training can be challenging. For most people, it is when one may start their own family, they get pregnant, while juggling clinical work and their studies. In addition, during the pandemic, when together with the late head of psychology unit, Puan Suhaila, may Allah bless her soul, and psychiatrist counterpart, we were given the responsibility to devise ways to ensure the well-being of the staff. These initiatives aim to address the growing concern of burnout and stress in the healthcare industry, not just to promote overall well-being, but also resilience. So mindfulness. Mindfulness is a powerful tool for managing stress, improving focus, and enhancing overall well-being. Mindfulness is about choosing to be present at the current moment and being aware of your thoughts, feelings, experience without judgment. So instead of living mindlessly and reacting impulsively, mindfulness allows individuals to respond thoughtfully and with intention. There is an interesting outcome of the Modified Mindfulness-Based Stress Reduction Program, MBSR, conducted on my postgraduate. Sorry, postgraduate, I've got to try it on you. So we found that those attended the weekly 1-hour session for 4 weeks experienced less stress, burnout, and depression score. And the effect lasted even after 3 months of completing the training when compared to those who did not attend the session. And I even get feedback from my graduates a few years later of how skills of mindfulness help them becoming better in their career and personal life performance. Now, can I make sure that all of you have received my kisses when you entered this auditorium? Yes? Do you still have the chocolate? In today's highly distracted society, we frequently spend our lives on autopilot. So I'm not surprised if some of you might immediately unpack and eat the chocolate. Okay. All right. So, in my mindfulness classes, we learn to be mindful of our actions. So, for those of you who still have the kisses, okay, place it on your palm. Place it on your palm. Tear and place it on your palm. Oh, not place the whole pack. Place one chocolate on your palm. Tear it and place one chocolate on your palm. Okay. All right. Now, don't tear it open as yet, the chocolate. Observe the wrapper. Observe somebody is very autopilot, already ripped off the wrapper, okay? So observe the wrapper, the shape, and the weight of the chocolate, all right? Then unwrap the chocolate, and as you put it in your mouth, wait, don't bite as yet. Put the chocolate in your mouth. Do not bite, but instead twirl it around your mouth. Notice the shape inside your mouth. Yeah, somebody is smelling the chocolate. Okay. So what will happen is that when the chocolate melts I want you to feel the burst of sweetness and taste in your mouth. The point here is to be in the present and enjoying the moment. You can try it with plain water. It tastes nice, and you know the different type of plain water. So I'm taking the opportunity today to demonstrate what mindful living can bring to you. As someone who deals with trauma patients, learning and practicing mindfulness has helped me to cope with everyday demand. I believe that investing in one's mental health is crucial for healthy living. Importantly, for healthcare providers, a healthy mind and well-being can create a more sustainable and compassionate healthcare system for all. So we have come to the last part of my lecture. Truly, I'm blessed. A career of an academician is indeed full of various opportunities, though not without challenges. Throughout my journey, I have had the privilege of engaging in meaningful activities with wonderful people, advocating for critical issues, and contributing to the well-being of our community. The significance of persistent teamwork and ongoing education cannot be overstated in this field. So let's work together and continuously learn so that we can positively impact the healthcare system and the lives of those we serve. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Dr. Saja Othman, for your truly inspiring lecture on a topic that is an important one, but rarely spoken about. I think she has, I can safely say she's inspired us all to be more mindful in our days ahead. I'd like to invite Professor Dato' Dr. Yang Farida back to the podium to summarize and conclude today's inaugural lecture.
Well, what can I say? That was a journey that you took us through, and I think you did bring us to be aware and to take action. And I hope you all realize that when she talked about the role of healthcare providers in addressing family violence, she means not just the family medicine physician, she means all of us, because we are all part of providing healthcare to UMMC, to our students, to ourselves, to our colleagues, and to the nation at large. Thank you very much, Prof. Saja, for doing that. She took us on a journey of, what was it? Intimate partner violence. And I was shocked to learn that almost like about 30% of pregnant women are being assaulted in this. I used the word assaulted. I'm probably a wrong word, but I felt assaulted with that statistic, to tell you the truth. So you brought us through that, and you brought us through assessing vulnerable children's need, the needs of vulnerable children. She took us on a journey of aging and neglecting, aging and abuse. And as an aging person, I felt very confident that I will not be abused by any of you, as I age. I will look to Prof. Dato' Ikram to make sure that, if he's not abused, I will not be abused as well, because, he's more aged than me. Sorry, Prof. I'm being cheeky, I know. And she took us on this journey, and finally she ended it with a journey of telling us to be kind to ourselves, to each other, and to be mindful to our students. Isn't that such a wonderful story, coming from violence to healing in a wonderful afternoon? And that's why she's the ultimate educator. And we thank you so much. So finally, once again, please give a big round of applause to Prof. Saja, as I still have her kiss in my hand. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Datuk Dr. Yang Farida, for chairing the lecture today. And thank you, Professor Dr. Saja Othman, for your impressive and heartwarming lecture. Bersyukur kini kami panjatkan, ceramah perdana disempurnakan. Semoga ilmu jadi bekalan buat azimat anak warisan. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes our event for today. Thank you very much for sharing this momentous day with Professor Saja Othman. To commemorate today's event, photography sessions will commence right now. I would like to start off by inviting Professor Datuk Dr. Yang Farida and the woman of the hour, Prof. Saja, on stage for the first photograph. Us non-BBGS girls are feeling outnumbered here. Any CBNers here? And now, let us all have a group photo of all of us present in the auditorium right now.
Boleh kumpul dekat tengah.